Oh, wait, wrong one. Good. Let me see. Does it work? Yeah. Okay. You can see me. Okay. Hear me. All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope you can. Yeah, everything seems to be working good. Okay. Cool. Hope you can see me. Okay. Hear me. All right. Hey, Robbie, how are you doing? Good to see you on the session again. Hey, Bjorn. Good morning. Good morning. Um, yeah, so if you can see me okay, hear me all right, put into the chat, let me know. Happy Friday, everyone, at TGIF. It is the 26th of September. So good to see all of you on the session. If you are a regular, drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're here. If you're new to the session, drop a message, say hi, let me know where are you joining us from. I always love to find out where is everyone joining us from, right? So make sure you do that. Let me just fix something here. Yeah. So um yeah, make sure you do that. We had I haven't streamed for the last 2 days. Yesterday, thank you. Hey Jimmy, how's it going? Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, Jimmy. Uh with the sticker and the donation, happy sticker thing. Appreciate that so much, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Hey, Magas, how you doing? Hope you're well. Hey, Christina, good to see you on the session. So yes, like I was saying, it's been 2 days. On Wednesday, I tore down the whole system, everything around here, tore down the whole system, and then reorganized, fixed some stuff. Like I see, it's a different angle today. Reorganized, fixed some stuff up, got a new camera, and put it right in front of me. And I thought, perfect, it was good. So we didn't stream on Wednesday because I tore it all down and had to fix it all back up. Then on Thursday I went live, and then OBS just went bonkers. It just connected, disconnected, connected, disconnected. I guess it was because the camera behind that over here was for some funny reason drawing too much, or was this is not working well with it. So I think it was drawing too much data or something else, something or other. And then the stream just kept dying. It just started and died, started and died, started and died, I think a couple of times. And then I thought, oh, how am I going to fix this? And then the easiest way was just to put the webcam back up above the monitor now, um, in that way. So we've got a camera going here, which will be for the videos, the content. We've got a webcam here for the live stream. We've got um, the screen here. We've got my OBS over here, and I've got the YouTube over there. Okay, so just to well, kind of let you guys know what's been happening, what's been keeping me busy over the last couple of days. But I'm glad that it's working. Fingers crossed. Hope I don't jinx it, but working well right now. Hey, Hungry Foodie, how you doing? Hope you're well. Okay. Now again, if you are on the session, if you're new to the session, there's a little join button there, where you can click to join as a Elite Navigator. As it's scrolling down the bottom, Elite Navigators membership, YouTube membership. It's a YouTube membership that gets you a daily live stream. So what we do here on a Friday is publicly available to everyone. It's done on H4 time frame. It's available to you once a week. Through Monday to Thursday, we do an H1 time frame. At the same time, on H1 time frame, looking for setups which are intraday kind of setups. Obviously, unless I got some stupid technical issue, then it doesn't happen. But most of the time, we do the live stream on the 3 p.m. on a weekday. Okay, so if you haven't joined already, make sure you click that to join. I think it's like $9 or something like that a month. Um, Almost nothing. It's really just to make sure that we get the people who are really serious about the trading as a token sum, right? Again, if you haven't as well, remember to click that like and subscribe button. That thumbs up button does help get us more people onto the session. So click that thumbs up button and keep the chat going. Any questions, put it in the chat, let me know. Any particular pairs you'd like me to look at, put it in the chat, let me know. If you're on the session, drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're on as well. Okay, so all that rules and administrative stuff done, let's get into it. Looking at the news for this week. While I do that, okay. Looking at the news for this week. We're Monday to Friday today. Right, Monday, not that much. We were talking about this on Monday. Hey Diana, how are you doing? Good morning, good morning. So on Monday, not that much happened. We were talking about that. On Tuesday, we did have a whole bunch of PMI numbers that was released, right? And it didn't come out great. The PMI numbers, especially like for the German manufacturing PMI, it was a 48.8. It got revised down from a 49.9. It came out at a 48.5. The UK manufacturing and services PMI got released lower as well. It was 47, it came out at 46.2. Services PMI was a 54, got reduced down to a 51. So it's slowing down. Doesn't look great. It is slowing down. While the US manufacturing and services PMI held steady, relatively steady, was a 53, revised down from 53.3, came out at 52, from a 54 to a 53, still in the expansionary phase, a bit steadier than the Eurozone and the UK, right? As a result of this, on Tuesday, you would have seen that on Tuesday here, the dollar started to push back up, right? Dollar started to push back up. Then on Wednesday, we had Chair Powell speaking. That was at the Economic Outlook at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce Economic Outlook Luncheon. Was a long title. Didn't say too much, didn't do too much. Governor McCallum as well. And then we had the CPI for the Aussies that was on Wednesday. Aussie year-on-year CPI has gone up. This was the thing I was telling members, if you remember, we're talking about this on Tuesday, right? On Tuesday, we're talking about the Aussie CPI, and I was saying it might be a 2.8, it might even be a 3, with inflationary growth numbers climbing. It's not going to be good news for the Aussies, because we do have the RBA with their rate decision coming next week. So most likely we're not going to see any more rate cuts from the RBA. Most likely we're going to see the RBA say, that's it. For now, we're going to wait and see, because CPI is climbing slightly, or is on the path, on the trajectory, climbing above its target level of 2 to 3%. It's right at upper level already. So it might get past 3%. For sure, the RBA wouldn't want to cut rates and try and cause that to push further. So we're going to most likely see a cash rate hold from decision for a cash rate hold from the RBA in the next few meetings, especially next week. Then yesterday we had SMB with their rates decision. No big surprise. They kept it on hold at 0. Not going to do too much there. US final GDP quarter on quarter was a 3.3, rised up slightly to a 3.8. So it's relatively good news so far for a series of good news from the US. Good GDP numbers, steady manufacturing and services PMI numbers, relatively not too bad, right? And then tonight, Friday night, we have the core PCE price index for the US and the GDP number for Canadians. GDP numbers for the Canadians tonight, looking like it might go from a minus 0.1 to a 0.1. I am not entirely convinced that it will get to a 0.1. I think it might stay at a minus 0.1, but in the overall scheme of things, I don't think it's going to change prices too much. It's been working well because of the dollar index, but overall, I don't think it's going to change prices too much. But I'll tell you more about that shortly. Core PCE price index is an inflationary number used by the Fed Reserve. Look, this is month to month, looking to go from a 0.3 to a 0.2. I think is reasonable. Talking about this, you see that the likelihood, this is talking about the rates decision from the FOMC on the 29th, coming on the 29th of October. So about a month away. It's currently at that 4 to 4.25 level. There's a 12.3, all right, 12.3% chance that they keep rates on hold, with an 87.7 chance that they'll cut rates by another 25 basis points. I don't know whether I saw whether the headline is here. So there was right after the September meeting, September 17th, 18th, 17th, 18th meeting from the FOMC, they cut rates and they said likely two more rate cuts to come before the end of the year. Fed daily says more cuts likely needed, though timeline is unclear. It's not that one. I was looking for. Where was it? Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna sift through it. I saw it. I was reading it this morning. Um, as I was out for a walk. I was reading it this morning. Um, that Wall Street is kind of reconsidering or trying to factor in the idea that they might not do a two rate cut by the end of the year, right? Which is kind of that good Fed Reserve skip a rate cut, but that's by Morningstar. There was one other part where it was was Wall Street talking about, well, Wall Street's kind of considering or pricing in the idea that they might not do two, they might only do one rate cut. So that's something to think about. All right, all that, and the BOJ is likely to hike rates to 1.5 under OADA. We kind of figured that one when it comes. All that happened since the last time we spoke. We spoke last Friday on this format, and all that has happened since the last time we spoke. Okay, then we'll look into what's coming up into next week. But before that, quick catch up here. Diana, you didn't miss any live. I don't think you missed any live streams. Wednesday, I tore down the system, the whole setup, so I didn't do a live stream. Thursday, I had a whole bunch of live streams which didn't work, so you didn't miss anything there. Technical issues. Dollar index has a flag on it on H1. Flaggy, yes, forming up. Burger is getting more expensive here. Yes, it is. It's in Australia, burgers might get up to $60, $70, with inflation getting up to that 3%. Lettuce on the burger will be organically homegrown lettuce plus handmade buns and grass-fed wagyu beef patties. So you probably get $100 for a burger. That'd be the challenge. That'd be a terrible challenge to have. Yeah. So with that, then talking about burgers, I'm getting hungry. Gonna get some food after this. Um, Now we're talking about that. Okay, next week, let's talk about what's going to happen or what could happen next week. I'm just watching that right as well. Monday again, likely to be a little bit meh, quiet, not that much craziness happening. But Tuesday, next week it starts. Right, Tuesday next week. Not too bothered about the Chinese manufacturing PMI. Okay, okay. Then we have the Aussie interest rates decision. Right, Aussie interest rates decision at 12:30 p.m. GMT plus 8 on a Tuesday, the 30th of September. Usually it's on the first um, Tuesday of the month. I think because the first Tuesday of the month is a bit too far away, so they've done it on the last Tuesday of the month. Um, 3.6, like I was saying, with inflation with CPI now at 3%. It's unlikely that they'll do anything. The cash rate is going to stay at 3.6%. Rate statement is likely to talk about um, how inflation is being affected by the global um, policies, global trade policies. They're likely to say that employment numbers are, where is it? Right, so this was the last one. Right, inflation has fallen, yes, but there is some headline inflation might be as forecasted, and then outlook remains uncertain. We know that full employment is a priority, right? This was last one. Yeah, so I think they'll be pretty much the same. I think it'll be kept as pretty much the same. See, but that was at the midpoint of 2 to 3. Now we're at the upper range of 3%. So further easing could be appropriate, but not right now. It'll be data dependent, right? And then they probably talk about some slack in the labor markets. So that's going to happen on Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Then the press conference, not bothered. Then President Lagarde on Tuesday, not bothered about that. Then after that we get, so this is where it starts. Tuesday, 30th of September, we have the Aussie cash rates at 3.6%, likely to stay there. Tuesday night, we have JOLTS job openings, 7.18. It looks like it might tighten up a little bit. It might tighten up a little bit, so we'll try and see. We'll wait till Monday to see what the forecast is going to be there. And then through to Wednesday, we have the non-farm employment change from the ADP. It was a terrible number the last time round, right? 106 to 54. I don't think on a benchmark basis, I don't think it will stay about 54. I think it might bounce back up a little bit. So we look into that. I'm just thinking that Aussie is going to weaken down. JLTS might bounce back up a little bit. JLTS might bounce back up a little bit. ADP at 54, 106 to 54 could go back up to closer to that 100 number. Not too bothered about the Swiss CPI, employment numbers, no. Ueda speaking, no. Then we have the non-farm employment change numbers. And remember last time round we had a non-farm employment change. It was 79 got revised from 73. Expected at 75, came out at a low 22. So I feel like it might even back out again. Right? It might get pushed back up to maybe the 100 kind of level and even out. So generally thinking that I might see a bit. Generally, I think that we might see a little bit of strength coming back into the dollar for next week. Looking at the news here, looking at the news for next week, I think we're going to see dollar strength scenarios coming around. All right, obviously we'll plan for both. And we're going to stay flexible in the approach, but I think that we are looking at some dollar strength scenarios coming into next week. Okay, so with that, we'll think of dollar strength, but we'll plan for what if we see some dollar weakness. Dinah saying, can we have a look at Aussie CAD? Yes, pound CAD, pound Aussie. All right, cool. I'll try to remember that. If I forget, let me know. But here we have the what do we have? The dollar index on H4 time frame. Okay, this is what we spoke about last week. Has it been a week already? Yeah. This is what we spoke about last week. We were right about here. We said it's going to test down, push back up towards this level, and then, well, I say it's going to retrace back down to this resistance turn support, but it came right down, right? Main thing is it stayed. So it needs to stay above 9720 for further upside. So it stayed above 9720, which is right here, bounced off to push, break 9780, which is here. See, that one didn't break. This one broke past 9780, and then to retest 9860, which it just did last night. So I'm very happy it's worked out nicely on the H4 time frame. And actually, I'll tell you that I've actually just started another account for, I want to keep track of what we do on Fridays. So by keeping track of what I mean by keeping track of what we do on Fridays is I've started another account. I'm going to start putting in the trade orders, the Friday trade orders, and then just letting it run until we look at it the next Friday again, right? So I'm going to see how it goes. Entering trades on a H4, set and forget kind of approach that way. Okay, so we'll just have that running and testing out. I've rambled on so much. Take those away. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that either. Take that one away for now. Okay. So that's what we have here on the dollar. Right? It's dropped right down. It's retraced back up. This trend line doesn't make sense anymore. We take that away. But this trend line is still relatively good. It's keeping that. I don't think it's worth doing that trend line. Okay, no. So what we have here is that trend line, bearish trend line, bearish trend line, which is somewhat broken. Okay, like that. So we're right up. So Dino was saying there is a flag on the dollar on the H1. This is on the H1. I'll switch it back to the H4 shortly. So we have that, and then we have that way, right? But when you look at it on the H4 time frame, it's just been pushed up, retraced, pushed up, now being held by this level. Um, then if you look at this up, and this level is quite, well, I say quite, but actually very important, because this area here is that 61.8 level from the big move down, all right? 61.8 level, um, just right here, and it tested, retraced, tested. This was in August, came right back in. September, came right back down. Now it's back up again. So we've got the trend line, we've got the horizontal resistance level, we've got all of that holding prices, or potentially holding prices down. So 26th of September. Okay, now looking at this, we've got those. Take these away. One there. Then these ones away too. So those are the two levels that I'm kind of looking at. Right. Um, remember I was looking at the news, I was just thinking, well, we might see that dollar strength scenarios for next week. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Take this one down. I want to try and swap that over. Yep. Okay. So I'm thinking here that actually let me try this. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is, yes, the anticipation, the straightforward view is that we're thinking that the dollar could test, that the dollar could sit across, test, retrace, and then push back up again. Right? The main thing here is that I think it needs to stay above this point. Good, I don't mind that. Good as a dotted line. Okay, so the main thing is I want to see it stay above this point. Don't need that. And that goes away. So what I mean by that is either it sits across, test, retrace, bounce, or break through, or it sits and it retraces back down to here, and then it does that kind of move, on average. Right? So what I'm in terms of in writing it up, what that kind of translates to is the dollar index could retrace to 98 is down here, bounce and bounce, break, trend, bearish trend line, and 9860 resistance to test 9940. See, 9940. I think, yeah, I think that one should go up there. Just about there. Okay, so a quick explanation about the orange and the green lines is that green lines I feel like it's the big strong resistance level. The orange lines are the intermediate resistance levels or support levels, and then the dotted lines are just points of levels I want to pay attention to. Okay, so whatever it does here, it could retrace or it could sit across. All right. Um, Generally, what we're looking for is that it pushes back up, tests this trend line, and then pushes up that way. So overall the same, but it's just what is going to happen here. And I feel like it might retrace a little bit end of the week, right? Because this was Monday, right? Monday it started here, it pushed down, it ran all the way back up. I feel like it could retrace slightly before pushing back up again, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. Does that kind of make sense for you? Or does that kind of make sense for you all? Let me know. Let me know. Um, Hey Augusto, how you doing? Long time no see. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, let me know if that makes sense for you. While you're thinking about that, we'll look at the Kiwi dollar. All right. So Kiwi dollar last week we said it's gonna come down, it's gonna retrace and then push down. It didn't retrace as much as we expected, but it did continue to the downside. All right. So it did continue to the downside and would have done well for you in the overall trend. And now at this point, it's sitting right here, it's trying to break lower. Um, that is now a resistance level. Don't need this or this. Down here, down to this point here. Okay, so resistance area here makes sense. Yes. Um, Break to the downside. Why do we have a support there? Okay, we have a support here because it's a nice round number at 5.7. I'll put it as a dotted level. Then if I take this move all the way to the top, right, we have a bit of a mixed level here. I'm not too bothered about. If I take this point, that's that 61. So 97 is there. 5.7 is there. Why do I say 9? 5.7 is there. That. So now I know that kind of works. Actually, I think that this is quite a distance away. Right, this is quite a distance away, but we might be thinking of that as a bit of a support level. All right, what you could instead do is look at that there. Okay, so now coming back to the current levels, oops, looking at this break to the downside, then you would say if it breaks below 9750, I think it needs a bit more space. 9750. Stop loss would be about. Well, I'm kind of thinking of that. Dollar break up. This one on the H4 time frame. And one thing that I was just reminding myself with for you guys is we talk about H4, but we need to set about kind of slightly wider targets for the week. So you get a bit of flexibility to deal with that way. 45. I'll say that's reasonable. So 5740, 45 to 130. Okay. 5740, stop loss 45, take profit 130, has watch out for 0.57 round number. There we go. There we go. Straightforward. Another reason why I think it's going to drop, it's going to be dragged down also by the Aussie dollar, right? Dragged down by the Aussie dollar. Remember, we're talking about no further rate cuts, or unlikely further rate cuts to come from the RBA. So no further rate cuts holding at that level. We might see them talk a little bit dovish and push it down, right? It's not like they're going to be no rate cuts and we're going to talk about rate hikes and we'll see the Aussie dollar bounce. We're talking about to say no rate cuts, but we're going to wait. We still think it's appropriate, but we're going to wait for the data to catch up. So I think that that's going to drag it down further. This was last week. It didn't retrace, but it set across. It only finally broke at that point on Wednesday, and then it's done well and it's doing well to the downside. So again, if you go into any of these trades, do let me know. All those are broken, take away. We have where it is right now. 61.8 right there. Pausing, holding. If it breaks below this area, then you think of, I like the nice round number as well. Okay, I like the nice round number as well. So it breaks below 6.5. Maybe Tuesday next week. 6.485. Stop loss above 6.5. So 6.525, 40 pips. Take profit down to the previous level at 65, 60 pips, 65 to the downside. Holding there, and maybe to the downside further to 110. That's kind of what I'll look out for. I think you can go a little bit earlier. 6490. You do this as 45 to 115. 6490. Stop loss 45. Take profit 115 to the downside. Good. That's really pushing down. I like that. Then to the pound dollar test. Look at that. We talked about it testing up. It did test up higher, and then it's pushed down, right? This was where we were on Friday. So Monday, or test down, you could have hit your stop loss there. It could have hit your stop loss at 35, a little bit wider, more 60 something to the downside, or if you waited for it to actually break properly to the downside, you would have done that. Okay, or could have hit your stop loss. Now looking at this, it's broken 61. I don't need that anymore. It's broken all these levels. I don't need those anymore. Now let's think a bit differently here. right? I'm just looking at the pound dollar stuck in this massive range, right? Big up there, down here. In fact, I don't even need to take that one away. I think this would be cleaner once we take that away. And then you look at this as a big red level. All right, this as a big green level. Then you see that the pound dollar has been in that range. Test, reject, push down, sit around that level. Now the thing here is that this. I was sitting here thinking, and bear in mind, next week is non-farm week as well, so everything could be totally different once the number comes out, right? Um, but I'm sitting here thinking that what if, right? If it breaks down, we have this kind of move. We have a 133.30 level, 1.33 level, right? You would have maybe a stop loss of 50 just above that swing level there. Well, not swing level, but that previous low there. And then you have a take profit of 130 to the downside. I'm thinking, sitting here looking at it as what if it bounces? Then we look at 134.15. We have a stop loss of 60. You go a bit there, 134. Even 134. Nice one number at 134. We have a stop loss of 50. We have a take profit up here at 126 as well. Maybe 160. That way. So it's sitting right there in this area here, which if you find it is that area there. That's my thought. Right? I'm just thinking of the possibilities of that. If the dollar breaks down further, but following the trend, and the wider range, maybe it would be better to consider that bounce down at this bottom level rather than in the middle level there. Okay, so I'm looking at this then now at 1.3350 to 130. So 1.33, stop loss 50, take profit 130 to downside. Good, I'm happy with that. Then onto the euro. Euro did very well, right? Euro dollar did very well. It's pushed down, it tested that resistance and came right down. So if you got into that, it's it needed the discipline for it to wait for it to push down, to retrace and push down to the downside. It's done well there. Could have been a good 90 something pips. Or if you sat there and waited for it to break that level, come down, and then it's still pushing lower there, good 70 something pips. Right? But that's all done. That's all last week. Take those away. Broken. Those are all broken. I don't even need that. Why is that there? Down from here, right up. See, it stopped at 50. We don't need, we'll take that one away, we don't need that. Good, that's good, that's good, that's good. Okay. Euro dollar. I think it's skinny. I mean, just look at, I haven't measured anything, but I think it's skinny in comparison to everything else to sell down. That's a that's a 60 pip drop. I think it's skinny to sell down. Um, could it bounce? Maybe. Still looking at that. I think what would be the best thought to do is for it to come down towards this support level at 1.1580. Right? Let it come down to here. Then from here, we look for it to break or do something at this point. It could very well bounce from here. Don't get me wrong. It could very well bounce from here back up. And your deciding factor is if it goes past 1.1711, 1.17, we might see it push back up. All right. But then the alternative is to look for it to break down from here, break this level. So I'm looking for a reaction at 1.1580. I'll keep that one. Looking for reaction at 1.15686080. Again, remember if you are on the session, do remember to click that like, that thumbs up button if you haven't already. That helps massively. And if you haven't subscribed, I'm pretty sure most of you have, but if you haven't subscribed, do click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything to click the subscribe button. And join. I think it's 9 or 14 or something dollars a month as a member, as a YouTube member. Okay, channel member, something member. So euro dollar, I want to see it push down. I want to test the support level. If it can test this support level and if it can break this support level, then you're looking at 1.1560. You're looking at a 50 to maybe 150 to the downside. But we're looking, if that happens, we're looking at massive dollar strength right back up. Okay, then onto the yen. That's worked out. We said on yen, right? Look for reaction at 149. Took a long time. It took a long time. This was Friday. It stayed there through the week. Only on Thursday afternoon it pushed and broke 149. Unfortunately, at this point, it is just below that round number level at 150. Right? If it's at 150, then what you want to try and look to do 150, 150.20, not a huge move expected there. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Right up there. 61.8, so you want to watch that level very particularly. Yes, round number, yes, okay. Bearing in mind the most recent headliner, 9 minutes, or not 9 minutes, but within the hour, was 37 minutes ago, was that the BOJ is likely to hike rates to 1.5 under Ueda, Governor Ueda. So we might see, especially with those of you who want to go, who enjoys going to Japan. You know who you are. We might see that do that push back down. Right, we might look at that if a rate hike decision come around. So I think that's reasonable. I don't think it'd be wise to go too near on a stop loss. I actually think 60 would be better. So on the yen, might be looking to buy at 150.20, stop loss 60, take profit 90, and then we're watching out for the BOJ rates decision or pathway of interest rates decision from the BOJ. Then euro yen, we say this, it's gonna go up, 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 up. It's done that, test that resistance, and then we look for it to push. Taken a long time. Taken a long time. But if the euro dollar does push down, if the yen does push up, that could work out quite nicely here, where we're looking for it to test, reject, and push back down. All right. So we'll keep that there. And I would even think that, yeah, I think that's fair. 174.90, stop loss 50, take profit 100. So for rejection of 175, yes, 174.90, stop loss 50, take profit 100 to the downside for the euro yen. I like that one. Pound yen didn't break lower. Didn't trigger that. Take away 61.8, held very strongly. Up to here. So we talk about the pound dollar. At first I was thinking of a bounce. Now we're talking about a push. US yen might push up. Pound yen is holding below 200 or at 200. So maybe you think 240 is not huge. I don't think it's worth the risk. 240, 200.40, stop loss 40, take profit 70. That's the only thing you can think of there. 200, no, that didn't trigger. As an alternative, we're thinking of 200.40, stop loss 40, take profit 60, 70 to the upside. 70 to the upside. Then onto the US Swiss franc. I'll keep that. What's yelling out to me is when you look at the Kiwi dollar, right, it looks like it might cross over to retrace on a TSR MACD. You look at the Aussie dollar, yeah, that one looks like it's going to push down. You look at the pound dollar, looks like it's showing a bit of a retrace. So I'm just always sitting there thinking, might do that, right? Might retrace before pushing back down. Euro dollar, looking like it might cross over a little bit, right? So that's kind of one thing that's been kind of shouting out at me. Same with the US Swiss franc. Is that a resistance level? Is that a bearish trend line? Possibly holding it down. It's possibly showing a crossover to the downside. Um, but we're looking at the dollar. That's also looking like it might crossover. It might just turn back up. So I think that's still valid at 8020 with a 40 and a 110 to the upside. I think that's what you have to do. 8020. Despite it maybe retracing a little bit, but I think that's yeah, we'll keep that one. Okay. Then onto the US CAD, did very well there. This was where we were on Friday. It's pushed right through, broke that 61, went right up to that resistance level. Great 80 pips to the upside. Take all that away. Now pushing higher to that resistance. It's not a lot of space. That's 1.4 right up there. You see again, that's one of the other things that's shouting at me going, hey, it might turn. The last time it was here, it didn't like it that much. So we want to see, I wouldn't do anything here on the CAD. I would say look for that reaction at 1.4. Maybe you have that chance for a rejection right back down. But I don't think it's likely. So I think that you're going to wait reaction at 1.40 resistance. Watch for reaction. Watch for it. Is it going to break through or reject? You want to see what's going to happen there. If it rejects, then you could be looking at 1.3980. You'll be looking at a stop loss of 30. Take profit of 60, 70, all the way back down that way. Right? But you want to see what happens there first. Then on to gold. Gold has just gone absolutely, since the last time we spoke, we were being very cautious, wanting to retrace and bounce. It didn't, or kind of did a little bit, and then it pushed right through. And pushed through beyond what we were expecting, right? I've been, every time I jump on our daily sessions during the week, I've been saying, you know, I've been doing a scalping gold up, I've been scalping gold up, and that's what's been keeping me busy. Now on the H4, I actually don't really like talking to you guys about gold on the H4 time frame. But we'll keep it that. Okay, so we have that as a bit of a support level. It's sitting in that consolidation, right? With the anticipation that the dollar could push back up. If the dollar pushes back up, it's going to push gold down. It's sitting in that consolidation right now in this area. It's going to consolidate I mean, it'd be foolish to sell gold. It sounds terrible to say, but it'd be foolish to sell gold down. The thing that you should be doing here is to look for it to retrace and buy the bounce or buy the breakout to the upside. Then the big question is, if we buy the rebound to the upside, where is it going to go to? Where could it go to? Right? So we're looking at these levels here, and conservatively, you might be thinking of that as a first point. Okay, so either it's going to consolidate and break out, or it's going to consolidate, retrace, and push and bounce back up. Base, ultimately, we're looking for it to be above 3760, right? Consolidate or retrace look for a break above 3760 to retest all-time high and up to 3820. All right. Does that kind of make sense? How do you like that so far? If any of that makes sense, screams out at you and makes sense to you, or doesn't make sense to you, put it into the chat and let me know. Remember to click on the like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's look at the Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD pushed down. We have done that. It's retraced. It's done that. It's got up to that 50% up here, and it's pushed back down. Oh, up to around that 50% and push back down. CAD weakness, well, CAD relative weakness. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that. At 38.2. I feel like for Aussie CAD, we might see, let me just think, Aussie dollar pushing down. I think the Aussie dollar drop is going to be a bit more significant than the CAD move. It might take a little bit longer and then break to the downside. I don't think it's going to be in a rush, but I'm looking at that Aussie dollars maybe pushing that down. Maybe by Tuesday kind of level, it come down towards that level here and at 61.8. Is it going to bounce before it comes back down? I don't think so. I think it's below 9.1. We're going to see that downside, which is quite close. And it's really done its retrace. So it's really done its retrace. Maybe if it can come down to that point, it can come down to this next level as well, because that seems to be the range that it kind of comes into. So it might have that bigger drop down. Okay. Kind of, if that aligns with you, let me know, Diana. Then pound CAD. Pound CAD. Oh, we had that. We talked about. I totally forgot about pound CAD trade. That's kind of worked down to that 61.8. Dig into that one. I need to check. That's done. Those away 61. Yes, we hold. Keep that there. Pound dollar. I'm thinking good. The thing here is like you got the Aussie CAD. You have the pound CAD. It's a bit dependent on what the CAD is going to do. Right, which we think it might test and maybe reject. It does have news, but I don't think it's going to. It's a monthly GDP number. It was around. It's always around that benchmark of that minus 0.1. We've been hoping for a one and haven't got it that much. I don't think it's going to do too much. That's why. Pound CAD. You know what's interesting? What I think is interesting here on the pound CAD is that it's done that. And also because I'm thinking of this as like pound dollar as well, right? It's really trying to retrace. I've been thinking of the retrace. no pound CAD here. I'm thinking that it might, as an alternate scenario, it does that. So it breaks at 61. It tests, rejects, and breaks at 61. So especially that round number of 1.87. So that case, then I'll be looking at, for me, I'll be looking at 1.8740. Stop loss about 50, take profit about 100 to the upside. I think what you might be looking at is 1.8775, that kind of level for that bounce. The test rejecting the bounce. Thinking of the possibility of the pound dollar retracing. Aussie CAD sell at 9140, 9140. I'm not sure if it get that high. I'm not sure if it'll get that high. I feel like 9130 maybe. 9140 just seems a little bit too high, smidge, a touch too high. To 9075. Yeah. I think if it okay. Well, there. Okay. So what you're saying is you look at that down to here, right? Test sell down to here. So then for me, I'll be looking at below that point to sell down, right? Maybe sell down. This will be the early entry. This will be the bit more safer entry down to this area. I think if it works there, if you have that trade down, then it could be a natural extension into this area as well. Okay, but good, we're in alignment with the sell down. Pound CAD, I'm looking for that push up. And then onto the pound Aussie. I saw that pound Aussie. 9125. Yeah, 9125 is a lot more reasonable. I think it's a lot more reasonable. Why do I have this that way? Then pound CAD. No, we don't pound CAD. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie. Too many funny lines there. Take all that away first. Big bottom here. Bought this level here. Resistance. This big level down. Pound Aussie. Aussie weakness. Pound maybe retracing is right in the middle of the two levels. That makes sense. That doesn't do anything for me. Take that away. Okay. So it's right in the middle here, which I absolutely dislike. That middle. Pound. Aussie weakness. Maybe on the pound Aussie, you look for it to test and then come back down. Last time it broke was in March. Only down to here. I don't think it's going to do that. I think that's my thought. The pound Aussie. to test back up towards a resistance, trade within this range. Especially if we see a bit of a bounce on the pound dollar, which is trying to look around now. 1867. 1867.4. 1867.4. A bit risky. I would say 1867.4. Yeah. Well, I would say it's a little bit risky just because of that high there, unless you look for that after that test and then the retrace, then you look at that point. Which, yeah, I like buying into what into that levels into the strength for the breakout and then a buy up. So I'll be looking at 18,740, that kind of level. 18,740. Yeah. Okay, so you might get in a little bit earlier up to that point. I'll wait at that point to get in. That kind of makes sense. Good. Pound Aussie within the range. I like that. Now, doing a quick review of what we've just talked about. Kiwi dollar pushed down, weight. Aussie is a bit of a weight. Pound dollar is possibly maybe retesting, retracing slightly. Euro dollar. Yen shouts out to me the loudest right now. Yen is the biggest shout out right now for a break or push to the upside. Okay, so that's what I'm looking out for, especially above that 150 level. That's it. What a marathon. Went through a lot today, or rambled on and went through a lot today, so I hope it makes perfect sense to all of you. Again, thank you, Diana. Thank you, Jimmy. Really appreciate that. If you have any other questions, we'll see you on Discord. If you're not on the Discord, get onto the mailing list. I'll send you the Discord links as well. Leave a comment, leave a feedback. Remember, like and subscribe. Most importantly, trade well, trade safe. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. And I'll see you all on Monday. Take care now. Bye bye.